What's going on, everyone? Danny Vega here, also known as Danny V, and welcome back to the Danny Vega Show. So, Book of Boba Fett, episode 2, also episode 1. I combined these two on this review because for me, on the first one, I really didn't know what to think. Like, the first episode is just like how everyone's going on the internet that Patton Oswalt called in Parks and Rec.
Pan down from the twin suns of Tatooine. We are now close on the mouth of the Sarlacc pit. After a beat, the gloved Mandalorian armor gauntlet of Boba Fett grabs onto the sand outside the Sarlacc pit, and the feared bounty hunter pulls himself from the maw of the sand beast. Okay.
It was one of those things that you see basically a beaten up Boba, you know, just recovering and how he got out of the Sarlacc pit, like all of us were thinking as fans and whatnot. You see a little bit of Boba taking over Jabba's place as daimyo. And I had mixed feelings about it because I was like, yeah, it's cool. We're continuing to see where he came from. However, I feel like there wasn't much of it. But episode 2, man. Episode 2, we gave a lot more into the background of Boba Fett. To me, everyone's complaints on the internet, oh, Boba should be this, should be that. I agree to an extent. Boba is still not 100% healed. We see it in the first 2 episodes that he keeps going back to the tank. Even that small confrontation with those assassins, he had to go back into the tank. He's not fully healed. He's not 100% Boba Fett. That right there, I take into account. However, if we are taking into extended lore or even the Clone Wars and stuff like that, yeah, Boba is way more skilled than that. But I'm still giving it the benefit of the doubt that Boba is just like, he is not 100% whatsoever. I love the relationship building with the Tusken Raiders. The reason being is because if we're going off of canon right now with the Clone Wars and whatnot, he's following the code that Jango Fett installed in him is about honor of your word. Even though he doesn't follow the code to the T, it's still about honor. If you watch it in the Clone Wars, he was very like, he's ruthless to a point.
I'm not a murderer, but I want justice.
He doesn't want to be dishonorable. Obviously, he's done some things when he was a kid, and you see that in the Clone Wars, but however, he had this whole conflict thing. That's why he wants to be honorable. He wants to follow in his dad's footsteps more than anything, rather than just being a ruthless piece of...
They wanna wonder.
Yeah, I love the relationship he's building with the Tusken Raiders. It's awesome how he got the respect of the Tusken Raiders, basically how he got his robes, how he lived amongst them, how they showed in The Mandalorian, but the whole background story of that, which I think is pretty cool. That at least gives a substance of like, all right, we didn't just pull this out of nowhere. By the way, when I saw that Boba Fett was going on a trip, I was like, hold up now. As soon as the lizard went up his nose and the wave started, I was like, oh man, pack your bags because you're going on a... So fans like myself, when I felt kind of conflicted, I have to go back to the canon and be like, okay, this is cool. You know, he's trying to be different. He's trying to be, yes, he is daimyo. However, he wants to rule by a code of honor. You know, even they have that saying, honor among thieves. So yeah, I mean, there's not really too much to say about it. I do feel like Mando was better. However, someone made a great point. Would The Mandalorian be as good as it is if it didn't have Grogu in it, aka Baby Yoda? Yeah, this actually felt like Star Wars. You actually got to see some Hutts in here, which is pretty cool. You got to see the twins, which are Jabba's cousins. And then not only that, we got to see the black Wookiee. I was like, whoa, look at that Wookiee. And his black croissant, black croissant. Even though I'm a big fan and I know a lot of the old lore, especially from the books and stuff like that, I had to look that one up. And apparently he's like a fan favorite, huge bounty hunter, definitely well known in the lores. And I was like, oh shit, they actually took something and just made it canon. And I really dig that because I was one of those fans that when they were like all Star Wars like lore from the books and everything we've known from the past is no longer canon, it broke my heart. So this actually makes me hopeful for the future that some things that we absolutely loved about Star Wars may come back into actual canon. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. The one thing though that I do find myself struggling with just a teensy-weensy bit is, and I feel it's the Mandalorian's fault, is that Boba Fett's character is supposed to be based off of like Clint Eastwood, like a Western style character. So when you have the series of Mandalorian that's more like a Western and whatnot, Book of Boba Fett kind of feels more mafia-ish rather than a Western. I feel like they're trying to make Boba Fett a like mafia story into Star Wars, like, you know, like a Goodfellas and whatnot. You know, especially when they were like, oh, well, you had to have permission to kill those two. I feel like they're just trying to like soprano this up. Just don't give us that same ending.